Turning now to your community focus, Providence Mayor Brett Smiley recently unveiled his legislative priorities after taking the helm of the capital city. Among them, plans to increase tax revenue from universities and hospitals and to redevelop the Cranston Street Armory. And the mayor joins us now live in studio. Thanks for being here.
Happy to be here.
So let's start with those legislative priorities, Mayor. I know you're already renegotiating those payment in lieu of tax agreements with tax-exempt institutions in the city like colleges and hospitals, but you're also going to the state legislature asking for a change in state law. Talk me through briefly how this would work and how much money you think it would generate.
Right, so there's two pieces of legislation. One is about the growth of these nonprofits where they keep buying buildings in our city. And so when the institutions buy an office building, some piece of commercial property, until such time as they use it for institutional use, until it becomes a classroom or an operating room, they need to keep paying taxes on it. Many of these institutions are buying buildings because it's in their future plans, but then they rent it out to tenants like any other commercial landlord. It only seems fair to us, and it is fair to the taxpayer, that they keep paying taxes until such time as it gets converted. That requires state law to be changed. That's our first proposal. Our second proposal has to do with employment. We know that these large institutions are some of the most important employers in Rhode Island. However, when they add jobs, which are good jobs, the state benefits, not the city. They pay payroll taxes, they pay income taxes, they pay sales taxes. All of those taxes go to the state. And so we have a proposal where when new jobs are added, just new jobs, the state gets a percentage of the payroll taxes generated from those jobs so that the city can be incentivized to help these institutions grow and employ our fellow Rhode Islanders as opposed to fight their growth, which is how we are right now.
And any sense as we stand here right now how much money this is going to generate?
Millions for the city, and the commercial property tax will have an immediate benefit, and the employment benefit is really a long-range plan because these institutions are going to keep growing. It's actually not a lot of money in the year now, but a decade from now we're going to be really grateful that we did this. And it's good for everybody so that all of our incentives are aligned and we're all going in the same direction, which is adding good jobs for Rhode Islanders.
Now I want to pivot now to the warming center at the Cranston Street Armory. Our colleague Steph Machado has reported that the city wants to move forward with plans to redevelop that site, and we reported last week that there are plans to phase out the warming center by April. Do you see that actually happening?
So first of all, I do think that there's a very exciting proposal for the future of the Armory, which is what I want to focus on, which is how can this be contributive and a great asset for the neighborhood. There's a plan for indoor soccer fields, maker spaces, small offices, small nonprofits, jewelry makers, metalsmiths, so that it can really be an asset to the neighborhood. And in order to get there, we've got to get it ready for redevelopment. We don't know of any plan to extend beyond April, which was the initial term. We're going to hold the state to that timeline so that we can talk about a bright future for the Cranston Street Armory.
I want to talk to you about pedestrian safety. We've seen a series of pedestrians being hit by cars in the capital city. Superior Court Judge Richard Leach is still recovering from his injuries in front of the State House. We know that's a state-owned road, but another man was killed on North Main Street. You've put a pause, according to the Providence Journal, on installing speed humps in the capital city. So what's your assessment of how safe city streets are for pedestrians right now?
We absolutely need to do a better job for pedestrian safety in the city, probably across the state. But what we're doing is looking at ways in which we can improve the safety of crossings at intersections, make sure that the walk signals are timed appropriately. There's a couple where the way it's timed, they expect pedestrians to have to wait a light at the median before going the rest of the way. We know that's never going to happen. People jaywalk. Make sure that the striping is proper. Make sure that we look at things that are called bump outs, where the curbs come in a little bit at the intersection to shorten that walking distance. And then with speed bumps, it's not that we're putting a pause on all speed bumps, but there are more than one way to calm traffic. There's the rubber temporary speed bumps that can come back out in the winter that makes it easier for our plows to do their job. There's speed cameras, and then there's actually deploying police to write tickets. It's all about getting people to change their behavior. What I'm putting a pause on is this permanent, irreversible infrastructure change of pouring asphalt and disturbing our streets in a way that just causes people to change their habits and speed on a different street. And so we take pedestrian safety very seriously, but there are more than one tools in the toolbox. We're going to use them all.
All right, quickly now, any update on the Superman building? Have renovations started there yet?
They're doing some basic engineering. They're taking core samples now to make sure they understand what they're getting into. They've done a full kind of 3D mapping of the building so that they can begin, but we haven't seen heavy construction start yet. I'm anxious to see that happen. I look at it right outside my office window and remain in regular touch with the developer, and I ask him regularly, when am I going to start seeing sledgehammers?
And Mayor, 10 seconds, that community satisfaction survey still open?
Absolutely. We want everyone, business owners and residents, go online, providenceri.gov. There's a splash page right as you get online. It's available in 7 languages. Share your voice, what's working, what's not, residents and business owners alike.
All right, Providence Mayor Brett Smiley, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.